If there's a personality disorder for rambling, I've got it. I can't seem to stick to my point. I'm going to try. I once met a guy in who was eating at the same missions that I was eating at, and long story short, we were speaking about doing a program together because he had been in programming in university, or he dropped out, but he knew something about programming, and he had an idea. And at the time, I was open to anything, right? So I said, let's do it. I have all the time in the world. You have all the time in the world. We're homeless. Like we're not homeless. I had an apartment. It was my first month. I brought him back here, and within 5-10 minutes, I realized, holy shit, the guy is like not all there. He's expressing psychotic or schizophrenic symptoms, and I'd seen him kind of pushing other guys around, and then I said, holy shit, maybe he just got out of prison. And I looked at this guy and I said, this guy I can't take. He's too it's not steroids, it's real muscle, and he's not so big that I can get away from him. He's more my size, and that's the worst kind of guy. Anyhow, ended up being fine. Nothing violent came of it, and he ended up leaving, but I took a lesson. I said, you know what? Don't ever, I almost got a victim. I thought I could become a victim of a psychopath. I don't know this guy. Just because he acted nice and cool and relaxed in the street, it was like as soon as I got him alone in the apartment, we were talking, smoking a joint, he started to show symptoms that I did not see out there. Fine. He's still out there. I still see him now and then, and I realize now he's just not, he said he has Asperger's, so if that explains anything, so, shortly thereafter, guys, I saw another guy homeless. I saw guys homeless every day, and I spoke to guys all the time who were homeless. But this time I saw a guy who I said, I'm not talking to that guy. That guy looks weird. And it wasn't that he was big, he was actually scrawny, and he was it wasn't anything physical about him, he was a little, but he just looked like his skin was translucent. That's what I was trying to think today, what was it? And I guess it was, first of all, he had acne, even though he was in his 50s. And second of all, his skin was not, it was like translucent. It looked weird. He was an older guy with, it was bizarre. And his style of dress, I don't know what it was. It was like a combination of old Western and he had gotten it out of a car. I don't know. The dude just creeped me out. He looked like, I don't know. I can't really, if you puked, but the puke was slimy and wiped and creamy. I don't know. It was just something about the guy just really grossed me out. So I didn't speak to him. I saw him for a few days quite often. Right near my house. Well, guess what? I just found out he dismembered somebody. He killed someone and dismembered him in his apartment. I'll put a link below. I don't know what happened. Psychiatric evaluation they're doing. I think he's going to be found to have a psychiatric problem. Just walking by me, I looked at him and I said, that guy is just weird, man. Well, anyways, killed somebody just a couple of blocks away from here and dismembered him. That was quite a shock to find that out. Here's another shock for you guys. Well, for me, this one will be a shock for you. I'm on Concerta. I'm on Concerta for one reason. I met a prostitute in the street. Well, at the time she was just out of prison. Not my ex-girlfriend. This is another one. I met her on the street when I was doing cans. She asked me for change. It was the middle of the winter. It was near Christmas. And thinking back, it was crazy. It was freezing cold, and I'm out there looking for cans. And she asked me for change, and I say, look, I'm doing cans. I'm broke. I say, I'm just traumatized, and And she tells me that we start talking. And she tells me she's out of prison. She's a prostitute. But she's trying to get away from it. That's why she's panhandling. And she's trying to get away from it because her boyfriend was just murdered in prison. And I'm thinking, my God, what happened? And she explains that he Well, I won't go into, who cares. He was murdered, and he was arrested, and they brought him in. Basically, I'll tell you the story. He had tobacco on him, and he didn't want to share it with the other inmates. And that was a huge mistake. I mean, he didn't deserve to die for it, but I've got to say, he kind of deserved to get beaten up for it, because you get pulled in, you were just smoking all the cigarettes you wanted that whole day. These guys inside, they haven't had a cigarette in weeks or months. They're going to kill you for that tobacco. You don't got to tell me that. It's like, imagine you haven't eaten any food for 3 days. And then some guy who's huge, obese, with like chocolate sauce all over him walks in with like a chicken. All right, you're going to kill him for that chicken. Because you can seize me eating all day. So it's not just like you want the chicken. You're angry at the guy. You're like, you're a real selfish goddamn son of a bitch. Like, dude, we're in here for all these goddamn time. We haven't eaten. We're going to die. And you've been pigging out all day because you just got in here now. Give us a break. You know, we're all part of the same team now. Well, so they beat him to death. So she said, right? So she said. Then I explain her my situation. I talk about my ex-girlfriend. She knows my ex-girlfriend, the psychopath. She says she's a nice girl, but also a con artist. And I say, you got it. Very nice girl. And she conned me. And she ended up giving me a Concerta. She found that I wasn't on any medication. I say, I'm going crazy. I can't sit still. I explained to her I was undergoing post. And she goes, what medication are you on? I said, none. She goes, well, that's crazy. She goes, here, take these. I'm like, aren't those for ADHD? She goes, just take them. She goes, they work. And if you need a prescription, you go down to this clinic. They'll give you a prescription. And because I couldn't get a prescription for ADHD meds. That's why I was doing methamphetamine. They wouldn't give it to me because I was going for Adderall. And they won't give you Adderall. But they'll give you Concerta, which is a different kind of, it's more like Ritalin. And I didn't know about that stuff. I knew about Ritalin, but I didn't know about Concerta. And Ritalin I couldn't take because it's a fast release and I get addicted. Concerta is a slow release. I can't get addicted. I've tried to use it to get high. It doesn't work. And I've tried every way, trust me. So she gives me these pills, and they changed I wouldn't be here if not for her. Because she introduced me to something. She just gave it to me. I didn't know her. Anyways, I owe her a lot. Okay, and I never saw her again. That's the sad part. It's like these angels came down from like heaven. I never saw her again. Well, guess what? I just saw. You know, and I'm only telling you guys this because I'll put the link below as well. But it goes to show you that everything I've told you for over 3 years, everything my parents, everything my brother, everything about my ex-girlfriend, there is evidence on the internet. And I could show people if I had to. I would never do it though. You know what? You'd have to have a gun to my head. I'd be like, it's too much. There's too much information out there, and I have to go find all the documents and put them all together. And I mean, I would do it maybe for the book if I ever write it. But end of the day is I actually saw the video. I can't believe it. Of the guy getting beaten to death. I mean, he was not on camera getting beaten, but you can see how they lured him into an adjacent cell. And then they went in there, and 5 minutes later, whatever, 2 minutes, they come out and they celebrate, you know, and he's dead in there. And to be quite honest, if not for that guy dying, I don't know if I would be here. Because his girlfriend would not have been on the corner. She would not have given me that Concerta. Concerta is really what changed my recovery, because it's perfect. It's not a good drug in the sense that I don't get high on it. And every other ADHD med, it works better, and then I can get addicted to it. With this, it's just like, you can't really tell I'm on, it doesn't really improve my concentration. It gets my focus a little better, calms me down. That's all I needed. That was perfect, and maybe that's why they gave it to her, because they wouldn't give her amphetamine. She's a drug addict. So she was there at that corner on that Christmas Eve. I think it was Christmas Eve or the night before, and it was all because her boyfriend. Because of this video you're going to see down below that I was able to get those pills, and it's just so weird how. This is why I've always told people that traveling, do it when you're young, get it over with. Because if you live in your city, if you live in a big city, and you stay in your city, there's magic. There's magic. I mean, how magical is it when I just told you the story? Not the fact that this woman saved me, but the fact that we actually can see the video. That's almost magical itself. Or the fact that I saw a guy and I was hesitant. I said, that guy looks weird. I didn't say think dangerous. Not at all. I thought he just looked slimy. He ended up killing someone in my neighborhood and dismembering him. All of this I would be blind to if I was always going to Florida or always trying to travel to see the world. Guys, the world is in front of you and all around you and within you. You don't need to go anywhere. In fact, the further you go away from where your home is, the less you're going to see.